Radio Valley 99.
Good evening, you're listening to Radio Valley on 99.9 FM. My name is Ganchu and I'm here for a special episode of an interview with a film director. He's from Korea and his name is Mr. Ho, Professor Ho rather.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome to Radio Valley 99.9 FM, sir.
I'm so glad to be here and thank you for having me here.
We're very happy to have you here. You know, we never had anybody from Korea
Really?
sit here in our chairs and talk in our mics. So thank you very much for being here. The reason why you're here, and listeners, the reason why Mr. Ho is here is he's here to represent Korean films and the film industry for the 3rd Film Festival of the Republic of Korea. By the way, you're all invited. It starts on 10th, which is tomorrow, and it's for 2 days, ends on 11th of December. On the 10th, there is one film that is going to be screened. It's called Ari Ari, the Korean cinema. And on the 11th, there are 3 films, and they are the classic, The King and the Clown, and Masquerade. Now, Mr. Ho is the director of Ari Ari, the Korean cinema.
Right, that's correct, yeah.
So let's first of all start with Ari Ari, and that is being aired tomorrow, screened tomorrow, and it's at 6:30 p.m. Let's talk about your film.
Yeah, this film is in a very unusual documentary film.
It's a documentary.
Yeah, documentary
I
film
see.
released in the December of 2012, last year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and this is more like a collective force by Korean film industry. The filmmakers got together and decide to tell our own story, through our own voice.
Okay, so is this film actually about the film industry in Korea?
Yeah, yes.
And how
so
it
Korean
started?
film about
I
Korean
see.
film.
Okay. How it started, and okay,
Mhm.
that'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah, actually very, it's touching on the history of Korean film and from the Japanese colonial period in 1920s, how film started and up to now, contemporary Korean cinema. We are talking about problems and issues and the future of the Korean film and what kind of obstacles we've been through and also we are facing these days.
See, I'm very sorry I could not get your full name because I was worried that I might mispronounce it. If you can introduce yourself, I mean your full name.
All right, my name is Chul Heo.
Chul Heo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in Korean language, 허철.
Chul.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
철 means philosophy.
I see.
Yeah, in Chinese character. So I have one word,
And Ho?
first name. Ho, it's my family name.
It's
but-
just a sound.
yeah,
Ho.
Ho. But I heard it's actually the name is from India for long time ago. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Wow. Okay. And see, your film, Ari Ari, the Korean cinema, I think this would be a very good film for all filmmakers and Bhutanese filmmakers and actors and those who are basically in the film industry to watch. I think to see what happened in Korea and also related to what's happening here in Bhutan as well. I think
I'm very sure, especially
it
for
would be very relevant. Yeah.
filmmakers
Yeah.
or film students who wanna make film in Bhutan. By watching this, they can learn from the how Korean filmmakers dealt with all the problems and especially governmental policy wise and also censorship and content wise and also passion about the filmmaking as an artist. So all kinds of issues, and there are in the history of Korean cinema there are a lot of trial and errors. So by watching this and creating a discussion among Bhutanese filmmakers, they can avoid any mistake.
Yep.
And also take a lesson. Only good things from what Korean history tells.
Yep.
Yeah.
4 films are going to be screened, and are you able to talk about all of them just in briefly?
Yeah, the classic, the film titled Classic was out in 2002. It's a very pretty old film, but it's a very romantic love stories.
I see.
Yeah, so I
the kind that the youngsters or the youth like.
right. So I'm very sure the Bhutanese audience will love the kind of love stories and very pure love. Yeah. And
Which and also
Mhm.
it also has or depicts or has a lot of the new Korean fashion and the music and all that.
Right.
It's a-
Although it's 11 years ago.
oh, it is actually, yeah.
Yeah. But it's still what constitutes the young people when they fall in love. The feeling.
Yeah.
When you got to crush on someone else. I think that feeling is very well depicted in
I
that
see.
film. Yeah.
And then we have Masquerade, which is a very recent film as well. It's a 2012 production.
Oh, actually, this film was a mega hit in Korea.
Wow, really?
Yeah, biggest film
So
from
if
last
I should
year.
go watch, this should be the
Masquerade.
must.
Yeah,
Must.
because it's about the king. Actually, one very famous actor, Lee Byung-hun, he wrote two characters. So the film story is about the king is so bored, become role as a king, and so he found a very similar look, appearance, from ordinary person.
Okay.
So they switch the role.
I see.
And
Okay.
one actor play both dual roles, together, and so really good acting, and the very this was done very well, and actually sweep the all the festival awards in Korea. Yeah.
And it is based in the olden days. It's not like
Oh yeah, when Korea was in a kingdom.
I see. And then we have the King and the Clown. And I heard that this film is it's good. That's what I heard from the organizers. What is it about?
King and the Crown. I think pretty much if you are interested in Korean film, I'm very sure Bhutanese audience already watched it. A lot of people. It's a kind of minority issue. Deal with some kind of a gay element there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's. I strongly recommend the film. Yeah.
No, see, it has the gay element incorporated in this. How is it in Korea? The I mean, gays as such. Is it?
Now it's very open. Very open and publicly. I know one filmmaker did a wedding ceremony with other gay person, but still, majority of Korean people, taking that as a very sensitive issue.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but compared to 10 years ago, now it's very open. Yeah, more try to understand, differences in Korean society. Yeah.
You said you told me that you were in America working for like about 15 years, and
Yeah.
you decided to go back to
Korea.
where you're from, Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you decide to go back when I think the prospect is? Don't you think it's better in the United States?
There's always pros and cons. When I was in mid-20s, I went to New York and I worked as a filmmaker and television producer, and while I'm studying, and also I taught as a college professor at San Francisco State University.
And that's why you are Professor Ho.
All right.
Yeah.
So I worked I worked for San Francisco State University for 7 years, and also at the same time, keep working on independent filmmaking and short experimental films. But for 15 years, I never been in Korea. I never visited Korea.
Never visited.
Yeah, and actually Busan International Film Festival drew me to go back to Korea, and it's like my memory about my homeland. Meeting my parents and my brothers and relatives, and it's really that touched on me that why as a Korean what I'm doing in the U.S. And also I was so admired by the growth of Korean films, and although I was exposed to Korean films and also I did a Korean Film Festival in San Francisco, but there's a kind of desire, start growing out of, inside my mind. Okay, I like to direct Korean films. So, so like my nostalgia to my home country, and plus, my Korea desire to be to direct Korean film is kind of combined together. And also as a Korean, to produce and direct, the feature film in America, especially in mainstream, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But the realistic sense, in Korea is relatively more easier. If you have a story and if you have got, to tell a story to the
Yeah.
people, then Korea is more, provide more opportunity. So that's why I, decided to come back to Korea in 2007, and this Ari the Korean cinema. We started filming from 2009.
2009.
Yeah, and finished, the mid 2011, and shown to public in 2012. It took, several years to finish, but I'm so proud of it because in that way I was able to introduce myself, to say hi to local people,
Yeah.
local filmmakers, and also. This film is the first, attempt to touch on the whole history of Korean cinema. So, in that sense, I kind of contributed to examine,
Yes, you did,
the speed
definitely.
of the Korean films.
So, have you, you as a filmmaker, do you have a genre as such that you would like to be associated with, or you do not have a genre as such? Like, for instance, this is an independent film, and have you like worked on any other films that?
I'm in Korea. I've been preparing for the 2 projects. One is a very periodical film dealing with the 19th century.
I see.
So 1882, when America and Korea made a diplomatic relationship for the first time. So that film is talking about how young people, face the new changes, and so that's more periodical drama. And the other one is more romantic comedy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and those, I'm sure those are the films that make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's money, a lot of money.
You must have you've been here for quite some time
The
in Bhutan.
Actually, this is my second visit, and I got here last Friday.
Yeah.
And
But you were here a few weeks,
in mid-November.
Mid-November you were here,
Mid-November, to meet Bhutanese filmmakers. I stayed at the time for 1 week. So in total, I would say about 10 days being in Bhutan. Yeah,
So,
it's my first time
and
experience.
you do know the market that we have over here as far as the film industry is concerned. Do you think it's enough for the film industry to grow?
I think, frankly speaking, there's a great potential to grow, considering the spirit and philosophy those young people has, compared to other very materialized and capitalist country. But there are many obstacles, I think, to overcome to grow. One sense is there's no film school here.
No, we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, no film schools. And
No, but the thing is, this is what I'm actually asking you. The audience that we have, the market, it's so small.
Right, right.
And that's why, would anybody want to invest in a film school? So,
But I think the film art is really very important. That it's not just like learning how to make an automobile. It's a culture.
yeah, it
And
is.
So
Art.
yeah, and this is a very important area. We can protect our local culture and our point of view about the world, and very Bhutanese perspective. So I think that it's gotta be this area need to get a lot of help from government in
And
that sense.
attention from the government.
Right,
I see.
to maintain and to continue on national identity.
Yep.
And also showing those Bhutanese national perspective to outside the world.
Yep.
I think that's very important. Those Korean films, become popularized or famous, to outside Korea. I think the common aspect is, they're very Korean. While the film itself, the mode of storytelling is very entertaining and Hollywood style, but it's the story is out of very Korean experience. So I think that's very important area to invest. Yeah.
Something I totally agree, and something that I always been curious about, and I've been wondering, and I'm glad that you're here, and I can ask you this question. For instance, the Korean fashion is it's very popular. It's you're talking about the international market has actually is acknowledging it. The film industry is really popular, and the music is very popular as well. Now, I mean, basically, the Korean entertainment industry is doing very well all over the world, and it's growing. It's still growing. Was it intentional that Korea wanted the entertainment industry to do well and have a market internationally? Was it an intentional thing?
There's always politicians. They encourage to go out and they always wish for success in our international market, but as a very political sense. So they wanna show up their
which is a good
political
thing,
achievement.
I think,
And on the other hand, those business people like corporation and the producers, definitely they always want to reach out. So
for them, it's money.
to make money. So there's always a political intention and economic intention. But those artists, like musicians and filmmakers, never imagine, I'm going to make this film or music to occupy American market or Asian market. It's hardly, to make the case. So there are many examples, like corporates, they decide and design the certain musician to be an international star, or certain films, they planned out to be an international purpose. Everything, all the films and music failed. But
It failed,
they failed, all of them.
and that was before. I mean,
Right.
some time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Even now, there's a music, produced with the intention for international market
They
is
failed.
fair. So this is irony. So I think this tells a really good lesson, because if the artist has a really genuine intention, I just want to express his or her the artistic expression, then international people, although language is different, experience is different, they understand, this is a really this story is grown out of genuine sincerity and experience.
Another question for you. It's in the same area, subject matter. Can the government of Korea take credit for the Korean entertainment industry to be doing well? Can the government take credit because has the government been supportive enough? Have they given you the industry enough, whatever is needed, to given the environment, whatever support, starting from policy and laws and all that? Can the government take credit for the success of the Korean entertainment industry?
All right, yeah, definitely, because especially for Korean film industry, the early 1990s, the Korean government, after democratization, got rid of all the censorship.
Got rid of it.
Yeah, got rid of it, and the government committee only they do is just to provide a rating, whether it's appropriate for adults or teenagers. And also another contribution was Korean government thought film in entertainment, in overall music, drama, and film as an entertainment this could be future industry.
Exactly.
Yeah, for the Korea.
So they did acknowledge it.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they provided a lot of privilege for those corporations and artists, filmmakers, to have an advantage, in terms of tax and.
I see. See,
yeah.
these are the things that I was wondering whether the government actually did play a role in making Korean film a success, which it seems they did.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. We're talking about the. By the way, you're listening to Radio Valley 99.9 FM, and this is a special interview episode with. It just happened all of a sudden. We had a director here from Korea, and I said, why not talk to him? And I hope you're enjoying the show. There is Mr. Ho. He is Professor Ho, rather. He's a director, producer, and also was a producer with the TV. That was when he was in the United States of America, and he is here. Professor Ho is here for to represent the Republic of Korea at the third film festival. This is the third film festival. Every year there is one, and this time there are 4 films being screened. The first one is Ari Ari, the Korean cinema, which Mr. Professor Ho himself is the director of this film, and this is like Professor Ho said, it's a independent film, and it actually depicts the history of the Korean film industry. Then tomorrow, the Ari Ari, the Korean film, Korean cinema is going to be screened at 6:30 p.m. at the City Cinema, right? And day after, the film festival is for 2 days. Day after, which is the 11th of December 2013, at 2 p.m. The movie The Classic is going to be screened. At 4 p.m. Masquerade is going to be screened, and Professor Ho said that this is one movie you have to watch movie Masquerade 4 p.m. And then we have at 6 p.m. The King and the Clown. So I am talking to Professor Ho. In the meantime, let's play some Korean music because
why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? So let's say like pick 2 songs, and maybe you can, if you want to say anything on the music, you are welcome, most welcome. You have picked Epic High with 1 minute. And why did you?
Oh, Epic High. This group I chose because it's very interesting. They got the American influence, and at the same time they are really try to they invent a Korean style.
I see.
Yeah. So these guys from America, and they played in the U.S. and then came to Korea and kind of tried to mix two traditions. I think that's the strong strengths of Korean pop culture. The music and drama and film. We're very open to all the European influence and American influence and Russian influence. Any, we try to play around. Together. The style-wise, genre-wise. I think that's the strength of Korean pop culture. That's why I chose that.
Then after that, there is this a song called "Some Kind of Relationship in Between" by Jang Hya.
Yeah, Jang Hya
Jang
and
Hya.
the Faces. They are very local. They never been outside Korea, so they are influenced by earlier the traditional musicians and also like a folk musician in 1970s, and they also really very smart to invent very Korean pop music. So I chose these 2 groups. They are sharing. Their goal is to invent,
improvise,
a very unique Korean style of music, but with a different background. Yeah, and Jang Hya is the more popular, these days. Yeah,
Really?
in Korea. Yeah.
So both of them are very popular.
Oh yeah,
in Korea.
definitely.
I
Yeah.
see. So we do not have much time. So what we're going to do is we're going to play these 2 songs in the end when we're totally done with it. I have one more question to ask you, and that is, have you watched any Bhutanese film?
Oh yeah. I got actually this year in 2012 for the opening film for the Busan International Film Festival. That film was directed by a Bhutanese filmmaker. I couldn't watch whole film, but I heard a lot of
Well, you were bored?
no, no,
Maybe.
no. But
Or did you fall asleep?
no, it's more like an Indian film. I think that was shot in India, and it's about Indian, dance. So a lot of song and dance that's unfamiliar to Korean audience.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very new and very interesting.
Uh-huh.
And I saw it's not released yet. Directed by Karma Denki. The
Kamadike.
Karma Denki, and the film also love story, love between Bhutanese girl and American guy.
I see.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, to see those countryside, and also there are songs, many songs. Yeah, very different from Korean film.
When you were here, before this trip, your previous trip, you actually trained some of the filmmakers. Yeah, you conducted a training for. Was it for the actors or for the directors, producers?
It's very mixed group. Most people are directors and producers, and very few actors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you must have interacted with them and all that. What do you think about filmmakers or people working in the film industry in general here?
They are very thoughtful and very intellectual. That's what I got as
see.
impression. But really, a lack of resource is, I think, they are struggling, to finding, the proper support in terms of, money wise and also technical aspect. But I think, the most important thing you have already, the imagination and ideas. So the overall quality of Bhutanese film will improve definitely in the future. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ho, Professor Ho. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to Radio Valley and talking with us.
No, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
So, if you have any messages to pass to our listeners, they could be aspiring actors. Some of them might be like thinking, I want to become an actor maybe in the future. Our youth listeners, especially, and I'm sure we must be having listeners who are already in the film industry. If you have any messages to pass to them, please be our guest.
Don't give up. Don't give up your dreams. If you want to be an actor or a filmmaker, I think this area is a really exciting and dynamic area to pursue as a career goal. Please think more long term, especially for those young people in the early 20s and teenagers. The dream high and continue. And just as Bhutanese tradition is so proud, and long history, that those philosophical background will be the strongest resource to make good films. So don't give up your dream.
Okay, you know what? I do
Thank
have
you.
something to ask you. I totally forgot that I wanted to ask you. I forgot. See, most of the Korean pop songs have it's mixed. It's Korean language and English mixed.
Right.
So is it safe to assume that in Korea almost everybody can understand English?
Yeah, these days, yeah.
I see. Okay,
But I think the Bhutanese, they speak English more.
they do.
Yeah, but Koreans, they understand. But in terms of speaking, it's I wouldn't say it's normal.
But they
Yeah.
understand.
They understand. Yeah.
So, what would you say if somebody's to make a film here and would take it to Korea to screen it? Would they have an audience?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, if it's in English and with Korean subtitles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I think they should keep in touch with you, Bhutanese filmmakers, just in case if they want to show their films in Korea, you can help them out with the subtitles. and all
Sure,
that.
sure.
Yeah?
And who knows? I'll be back for
Yeah.
filmmaking here. in
Thank you
Bhutan.
very much, sir.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you so much for tuning into Radio Valley 99.9 FM. We're done with the show, and we have two songs, Korean songs. It's Epic High with 1 minute, and after that,
Janggi-ha.
Janggi-ha with some kind of relationship in between. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
I can't let go 어딜 봐도 네 모습이 보여 쉴 수가 없어 baby 단 1분일 정도
한순간도 단 1분일 정도
그날 넌 머리가 맘에 안 들고 눈이 부었다고 다시 잠들고 난 외투를 벗으며 말없이 삐지고 전화기를 들어 밥을 시키고 커튼을 치고 몇 시간이 지났는지도 모르고 watching DVDs 어깨에 기댄 너의 숨소리 난 나가지 않길 잘했다고 생각했지 무섭게도 이런 기억들이 아직도 날 괴롭힌다 문득 네가 했던 농담들이 기억나고 무너진다 아무것도 아닌 순간들이 오늘도 날 뒤엎는다 문득 네가 짓던 표정들이 기억나고 부서진다
I can't let go 어딜 봐도 네 모습이 보이고
무너지는 내 맘
숨길 수가 없어 baby 단 1분일 정도
시간이 멈추고 심장이 멈춰
Can't let go 어딜 가도 네 목소리 들리고
부서지는 심장
숨 쉴 수가 없어 baby 단 1분일 정도
한순간도 단 1분일 정도 가도 창가의 모퉁이 구석 자리에 앉을 때 손을 포개 놓지 왼쪽 다리에 피곤해 아픔 할 땐 닦은 눈물을 보고 내 그리고 바보처럼 웃어 양볼에 부족해 물을 마실 땐 항상 세워둔 새끼 손가락 눈이 부셨어 윤기 나던 검은 머리카락 서툰 젓가락질조차 매력이라 말했어 부르튼 입술도 난 영원하길 바랬어
This is LOD to the E 그 사소했던 기억이 맘을 뒤섞고 나를 뒤엎고 눈물은 끝이 없지 사랑은 폭풍도 흔들지 못하는 맘을 몰아치는 빗물 한 방울 Don't let go memory
술잔처럼 비워진 투명해진 우리 작은 추억들 돌이키려 돌아봐도 다시 만들 수 없는 그대와의 기억 어젯밤 꿈처럼 선명한데 날 떠났네
I can't let go 어딜 봐도 네 모습이 보이고
무너지는 내 맘
숨길 수가 없어 baby 단 1분일 정도
시간이 멈추고 심장이 멈춰
Can't let go 어딜 가도 네 목소리 들리고
부서지는 심장
숨 쉴 수가 없어 baby 단 1분일 정도
한순간도 단 1분일 정도 한순간도
단 1분일 정도
한순간도
단 1분일 정도
한순간도
단 1분일 정도 I can't let go
I can't let go
소중한 작은 세상에
한순간도
달콤한 두 별의 비밀도
너무만큼 슬펐던 그날만
내 눈물이 그대에게도 기억될 수 있을까
또 나를 더럽게 슬퍼하던
순간도
그 아름다웠던 순간도
아직 한 순간도 단 1분일 정도
되돌릴 수가 없어
새파란 하늘 쨍쨍 해가 떴네 어저께랑 날씨는 같지만 똑같은 느낌은 아닐걸 네가 여태껏 그려왔던 모든 것들이 온데간데 없을걸 그렇다고 마냥 울먹울먹거릴 것만은 아니잖아 그렇잖아 네가 그렇게 원했던 나잖아 yeah. 네가 여태껏 바래왔던 모든 것들이 이제부터 한 개 한 개 이루어질걸 네가 원하는 것들은 내가 다 줄 테니까 절대로 딴 데 가서 기웃기웃하지를 마 네가 원하는 것들은 내가 줄 수 사이니